Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we started creating the project for our we started creating a project structure and the required packages, required classes, and required methods. So we created Spring Boot application with the below starters, and one extra starter we added, that is a jQuery starter, because we want to work with Ajax calls in our application. jQuery dependency will not be available by default in the STS IDE. So that's why manually we are adding that. Then after creating the project, we created the entity classes and the repository interfaces. Entities are used to map our Java class with the database table. Repository is used to perform CRUD operations with the database table. Then we created binding classes and DTO classes. Binding classes are used to represent the form data. Okay, so we have multiple forms in the application. To capture that form data in the object format, we are using these binding classes, and we created service interfaces. Okay, so service interfaces contains business methods to write the business logic of our application, and controller classes we have created. Controllers are responsible to take the request and give the response to the client. And we created view pages. The presentation files, we are using Timely for the presentation. So HTML pages we have created. Then after creating all these concepts, then we configured properties in the application properties file. Our application should connect with the database. So for that, data source properties we have configured, and tables should be generated dynamically. For that, ORM properties we have configured, and the application should send the emails based on the requirement. For that, we have configured SMTP properties also. For SMTP properties, we need to use Gmail SMTP here, and a Gmail app password we need to generate, and we need to configure that. So yesterday, we have done all these things in our application. Okay, so user management application is available. We created all the classes and all that stuff. Now today, we need to start the coding part for our application. We need to start the coding part for the application. So coding part, so we are going to do the service layer. Okay, so here first user service is available. In the user service, if you see, there are multiple methods available. Get countries method, get states method, get cities, duplicate email check, save user, login, reset password, like this couple of methods available. So let's try to implement these methods now. New class. So I'm taking user service IMPL. It is implementing one interface called user service. So this is my class name. This class is going to implement this interface, guys. Click on finish. So with this service IMPL, class got created, which is overriding all the methods available in the service interface. So I want to represent this class as a Spring Bean. For that, we are using @service annotation. @service annotation to represent this is a Spring Bean. It should get the data from countries, it should get the data from the states, get the data from the cities. So let us inject the repositories here. Private country repository, we need to inject private country repository, and private state repository, private country repository, private state repository, and private city repository. And we need to connect with the three tables to get the data for the drop downs. Okay, so this is country repository, state repository, and the city repository, and we need to communicate with the user table also. We need to inject user repository as well. Private user repo, we need to inject that. Okay, next step. To do the injection, we are using one annotation called @autovide annotation. I want to inject all these repositories into my service so that my service class methods can call the repository methods to perform operations with the database. To perform operations with the database. Fine. Now first one, get countries method is available. So it is used to retrieve all the countries available in the database table and return them in the form of one map object. Okay. So country repository, I want to retrieve all the countries. For that I am using find all method. Country repository dot find all. It is going to give you list of countries which are available. It is going to give you list of countries which are available. Countries list we are getting. Now this countries list we need to convert into one map, guys. Countries list we need to convert into one map here. Map of integer comma string country map is equal to new hash map. New hash map. I'm going to take the country's data in the form of one map, new hash map. Then iterate the list of countries. Countries list dot stream. I'm going to iterate this one dot for each country I'm taking. Then I will store in the map. Country map dot put of first key I need to keep and value country name I need to keep. So key c dot get country ID and value is c dot get country name. C dot get country ID, C dot get country name. I'm storing in the map, and finally I'm returning my country map object. Okay, so this is the method which is used to get all the countries which are available in the database table. Get countries method. So what is the purpose of get countries? It is responsible to retrieve all the countries available in the database table and send that data in the form of one map. So I created one map object now. Then I'm calling repository.findAll. Repository.findAll is used to retrieve all the records which are available in the database table. Okay. Then next one, we are iterating that list by using for each method. So from this list, we are getting each country ID, country name, we are storing in the country map now. Each country name, each country ID, we are storing in the map and we are returning that map object. So next one, get states. So for getting the states, we need to use country ID. Based on the country ID only, we are going to get the states here. So based on the country ID, we need to get the states here. Okay. So in order to do that, we need to go for state repository. We should write one custom method. So in the state entity, if you see country ID is available, based on the country ID, we need to get the states data. We should not get all the states. We need to get the states. Based on the country ID only. So, but for country repository, we are not writing any method because we need to retrieve all the countries. To retrieve all the countries, there is a predefined method available, find all. But for the states, not like that. For the states, we need to use country ID. Based on the country ID, we need to select the states. So for that, go to state repository. Let us write one find by method. Public list of state entity. Get states, find by country ID. So we are passing integer country ID. So this is a find by method. Data JPA will prepare the query based on the method name. So data JPA will prepare the query based on the method name. Select star from state table where country ID is equal to given value. Then it will give you list of states. Find by is a keyword and country ID is a variable name. Based on the country ID, I want to get the states now. So now go to service IMPL. Now let us, here also we need to create one map called states map we need to create. Then we need to get all the states here. For this we will use state repository dot find by country id. Find by country id. With this country id we are going to get a list of states list we are getting. Okay, states list we are getting. So we need to iterate that states list and we need to convert into map. States list dot for each states list dot for each state I will store into states list, that is states map I need to create, right? States map I am creating states map dot put of key, that is s dot get state id, and value s dot get state name I am taking. Okay, and finally I'm going to return states map from this method. So earlier we are using find all method, which will give you all the countries. So we are iterating the each country, we are storing in the map in the form of key and value, and we are returning country map. Now coming to the states, we are getting the states based on the country id. List of states we are getting, those states we are converting into one map, state id and state name. States map we are returning. Now we need to get the cities based on the state id. We need to get the cities based on the state id. So for that we need to write one method in the city repository. So city entity having state id, so find by state id we should write one method. So based on the state id we need to retrieve the cities here. Public list of city entity get find by state id. Find by state id integer state id I am passing as a parameter. Find by state id I am passing as a parameter. Now go to the service impl here. Now let me write one method here, city repository dot find by state id. So this method is going to give you list of state city objects. Okay, state belongs to state id. Based on the state id we are getting the cities here, we are getting cities list here, and we need to return cities map. So let me create one map object. This map object we are writing as cities map, and let us convert that into cities map. Okay, cities list dot for each. Okay, so each city we are going to get city dot get city id, city name, get city id and get city name. So finally we are going to return that cities map. So these are the three methods which are used to get the data to display in the drop down. Are you guys clear with these three methods implementation? One is get countries method, which is going to retrieve all the countries from the database, and it is returning in the form of key and value. And the next one, we have written one method called get states method. So whatever the country you select, based on that country we are going to get the states. Whatever the country you select, based on the country we are going to get the states. Okay, and the next one, we are returning the state map. The next one, city map is available. So based on the state id we are getting the cities. So first you will get all the countries in the country drop down. You select the country, based on that country id you will get the state. Now you select the state, based on the state id you will get the cities. So these methods are implemented for dependent drop downs, guys. So we are having dependent drop downs functionality in the application. So to work with these dependent drop downs we are using these three methods. Now we are using these three methods in order to implement dependent drop downs functionality in our application. So if you see the requirement, first we will get all the countries in the drop down. If you select one country, based on that country ID, states will come. If you select the state, based on the state ID, cities will come. Are you clear with my point? Are you able to understand the implementation of these three methods? Come on,
Yes.
guys.
Sir, for me, some reason that JPA repository giving error message, sir, I'm not able to extend that one. I did import that Spring Data JPA, still it is giving the error while extending the JPA repository, sir.
We'll see that. Maybe you have not taken as an interface. It should be interface. It should not be class.
No, sir. In the repo class, sir, in the repo. Oh,
Repo should be interface. We will see that. What is the
okay, sir.
issue?
Okay, sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, so user service IMPL, get countries method I have created, get states method I have implemented, get cities method also I have implemented. Next one, duplicate email check, guys. So whether user is already registered with the same email ID or not, we have to check it. So for this, go to user repository, write one find by method. Email is available, find by email, we need to get the user record. So public user entity, find by email. Okay, find by email method we are writing. So this method is used to retrieve the user record based on the given email ID. Record may available, record may not available. So duplicate email check is available. So here what we need to do, user repo dot find by email method we are writing. So that record may available, may not available. Okay, so then what we will do, if it is empty, then we are going to write return by email not equal to null. If that is not equal to null, this method will return true. If it is null, it will return false value. If record is already available, that means true. If record not available, that means it is going to return false value. If record is not equal to null, duplicate email, true. If record is not available, then false. Or else you can, instead of writing this, you can do like this: if by email record is not equal to null, okay, else some value. If it is not equal to null, it is a duplicate email, return true, else return false value. So whether record is already available or not, we are checking. If the record is already available with the given email ID, it will return true, otherwise it will return false value. Okay, and the next step, save user method is available. It's very important to understand save user. So first, user will come to this page, will select all the drop downs, will enter the data, will click on sign up. That means user registration. When user click on sign up functionality, we are getting the data in the form of register form DTO. We are getting the data in the form of register form DTO. Now we need to insert that record in the table. To insert that record in the table, we need to use user repository dot save method. For saving the record, we need user entity object. Okay, for saving the record, we need user entity is equal to new user entity. So to save the record, entity object we need to supply. But from the UI, we are getting the entity object from the UI, or we are getting the binding object from the UI?
Binding object, sir.
We are getting the binding object from the UI. But what save method is expecting now? We are getting the binding object from the UI, but what save method is expecting? It is expecting
Entity object.
entity object. So whenever you submit this form, you are getting the binding object, and you need to save the record by using entity object. So you need to convert your binding object data to entity object. So to do that conversion, we are going to use one concept called bean utils dot copy properties. Bean utils dot copy properties from the registration form DTO I want to copy the data into my entity object. So from the entity, whatever the form is submitted, whenever you submit the form, register form DTO object we are getting. Whenever we submit the form, register form DTO object we are getting. That object data I want to copy into user entity. So when you are copying that into the user entity, here if you see country ID, state ID, city ID is available, but in the user entity, country, state, city is the relationship objects available. Okay, normal properties, name, email ID, phone number, these values will be copied. But what about the entity objects having a relationship? Entity objects will not be copied. So then what I am going to do is, so once the user entity is created, I'm copying the register form DTO data into my entity object. So for that, I'm using one method called beanutils.copy properties. Beanutils is a predefined class available in the Spring framework, guys. Beanutils is a predefined class that I have imported now. You can check it. Beanutils, that is a predefined class I have imported. What is the purpose of this beanutils? This beanutils is used to copy the data from one object to another object. I'm copying the data from one object to another object. You got my point? I'm copying this data from one object to another object. So for this, beanutils.copy properties, source object target. From the form DTO, I want to copy the data into entity. But here if you see, there is a mismatch between DTO and entity. In the DTO, country ID, state ID, city ID available. But in the entity, country entity object available, state entity object available, city entity object available. So for this, what we need to do is, based on this country ID, get the country object. Country repo dot find by ID, that is registration form DTO dot get country ID, or else null. So based on this country ID, I'm getting the country object. Based on the country ID, I'm getting the country object. So that country object I will set to the user entity. User entity is not taking the country ID directly. User entity having a relationship with the country entity object it is expected. So that means when the form is submitted, I will get only country ID from the form. Based on that country ID, I will get the country object and I will set that country object to the user entity. User entity dot set country. Similarly, we will use state repository dot find by ID of registration form DTO dot get state ID or else null value. So with this given ID, if record is available, now get that object. Okay, so we are getting state object. Set that state object also to the user entity. User entity dot set state object we are setting. Similarly, city repository dot find by ID. We are using city repository dot find by ID registration form DTO dot get city ID. With this city ID, 1 minute. City ID, if the record is not available, then return null value. Okay, so with this, we are storing this into one city object. Next one, user entity dot set city. We are setting that city object. We are setting that as a city object. Now we need to set the password also. We need to set the password also for the user, because by default that password is not coming. So we need to set the password also for the user. a random password we need to insert in the table. So for this, I'm using user entity dot set password, some value I have to set, and I'm going to set user entity dot set password updated. By default, the password updated will be no, guys. So I need to set one password for the user, and password updated by default no. So save user method we are calling, which is getting the form data in the form of one object. So this is form submitted, that the data is coming in the form of one object. So then I'm creating entity to insert the record in the table. That DTO object I copied into my entity object. So registration form DTO I copied into my entity object. Then country repository dot find by ID. Then I am setting the country object to the entity. I'm getting the state repository dot find by ID. I'm setting that state entity to the user. I'm getting the city entity by using city ID. I'm setting that to the user entity. Then I'm setting some random password for the user, and I am setting password updated by default. We are setting it as no. Setting the password updated by default, we are setting this one as no. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point?
Yeah.
Next one,
Yes.
we need to set the password. So for this one, I'm going to use some generate random password method. Private string generate random password.
So I have one question on the set password null and set password update no, sir. Can you please?
I'm completing that method, sir. It is not completed.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So private string generate random password method is available. What is this generate random password method? It has to generate some password for every user when they register. Okay. So to generate this password, I'm going to use both uppercase letters and lowercase letters. A to Z uppercase letters and lowercase letters combination I want to use. So then I'm going to use string alphabets to generate my password. If you want numbers also, you can add them. So in my password, I want to add both uppercase letters and lowercase letters here. So these are my uppercase letters and these are my lowercase letters. Both I am combining and I'm joining both of them, and I'm generating alphabets. So from these alphabets, I want to generate 5 characters random password. So to create the random password from these alphabets, 26 plus 26, around 52 characters available. From these 52 characters, I want to generate one random password. So to generate the random password, I'm taking random is equal to new random. In the Java util package, there is a predefined class called random class is available. Okay, there is a predefined class called random class available in the Java util package. Now to generate this random password, so I'm from these alphabets, so total 52 characters available. So 26 total, 52 characters available. From these 52 characters, I want to take I want to take 5 random characters and I want to prepare a password. So to prepare that password, I'm using string buffer. I'm using string buffer generated password is equal to new string buffer. String buffer is equal to new string buffer. I'm taking generated password here. Now I want to take the random characters from these alphabets. So for this I'm taking for loop for integer I is equal to 0, I less than 5. I want 5 characters. I less than 5. From 0 it will start. So less than 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 characters. Then I plus plus. Okay. Now we need to get the index random dot next int of alphabets dot length. Alphabets dot length is available. So within this length, alphabets length range, so the total 52 characters available. So the length of the alphabets is 52. So in this 52, from 0 to 52, you get some random index. From 0 to 52, you get the random index. So from that random index, you get the value and you write generated password dot append. Generated password dot append of alphabets dot caret. Alphabets dot caret of next int. That is basically the index we are getting. So this index is a random index we are getting. This is a random index we are getting. With that random index, we will get some character from the alphabet. That character we are appending to the string buffer. And finally, we are going to return generated password. We are going to return generated password dot toString because it is a string buffer. So I'm using generated password dot toString method. So this is the method which is going to generate a random password for every user. So first I'm taking one method which is a private method. This method will be called only within this class. This method is returning string. So I'm taking uppercase characters and I'm taking lowercase characters. I am combining them as one single variable called alphabets. I'm combining them as a single variable called alphabets. Then, so these alphabets total uppercase characters plus lowercase characters total 52 characters available in the alphabets. Okay, if you want numbers also, you can add them, no problem. So now 52 characters alphabets available. From these 52 characters, I want to take randomly 5 characters and I will consider that as a random password. So for that, I have created one object for random class. Random is a predefined class available in java.util package. It is a predefined class available in java.util package. Then I am taking one string buffer to prepare the password. Then I am writing a for loop. So it will execute for 5 times 0 to I is equal to 0, I less than 5, comma I plus plus. 5 times my loop is going to execute. So every time what I am doing, random dot next int of length of alphabets. Alphabets length is 52. From 0 to 52, you take any one random number. From 0 to 52, you take any one random number. So based on that random number, you get the character of that index. Whatever the random number, so this method, random dot next int, alphabets dot length. Alphabets length is what? Here 26 available, here 26 available. So total 52 is the length of the alphabets. 52 is the length of the alphabets. Random dot next int of 52. Random dot next int of 52 means from 0 to 52 give any index. Give any number from 0 to 52. Give any number from 0 to 52.
The 0 to 51, sir?
Sir, 51, sorry. 0 to 51, it is going to give you the random index. So from that index, you get the caret. What is the caret method? Caret method is used to get the character based on the given index. From 0 to 51, it is going to get some random index. So in that index, based on that index, we will get some random character. That random character, it will append it to the generated password string buffer. For example, 0 to 51, it has given the index value from 0 to 51, any number it can give you. Next int method means it can give any number. For example, it has given number 3. Then it will go to the alphabets and it will get the third caret position value. And it will take one character, it will add to the string buffer. Then take the next number, take that character based on that, add to this one. Like this, 5 times it will take some random number from 0 to 51 and those 5 characters it will be adding to string buffer. After adding that data to the string buffer, finally we are converting that string buffer into string object. So whenever you want the password, then you simply call this method. Okay, I want the random password, generate random password method is available. So which will give the random password for the user, then set this random password. So if you see in our form, we are not asking user to enter the password. User will enter only name, email ID, phone number, and they will select the country, state, city and submit. So we will get the record, we will get the DTO object. The DTO object we are converting into entity and we need to set the relationship objects, country, state, city. Based on the country ID, we are getting the country entity setting to the user. Same we are doing for city and state also. And password. User is not giving the password. So we are writing one method called generate random password method, which will generate 5 characters random password, which contains uppercase and lowercase alphabets. So based on this one, we are getting the random password. We are setting that random password to the entity object, and password updated by default no. So once the user go to login and reset the password, then password updated will become yes. Currently, by default, I'm setting password updated as no. Then I'm going to call user repository.save method. So along with the name, email ID, phone number, country, state, city, password will be inserted. Password updated also will be inserted for the user. So which is going to return saved user object. Save method is going to return saved user object. Once user is saved successfully, if saved user is not equal to null, okay, if saved user dot get user ID, if it is not equal to null, if null not equal to saved user dot get user ID, then we need to send the email for the user with the password for login. We need to send the email for the user. For that, we need to inject email service here. Private email service we have to inject. Okay. So in our application, email service class is available, which is used to send the emails to the user. This one I want to take as a Spring Bean. So I'm using @service. Email service is a Spring Bean. When user registration got successful, we need to send the email. Okay. So for this, we will take some subject and we will take some body. String subject is available and string body is available, and to address is also available. String to address. To address we are already getting from the form, registration form DTO dot get email. So I'm going to call this method email service dot send email, subject body and to address. Subject body and to address we are going to call. So it is going to return some true or false value. Okay, so fine, that's fine. Email service dot send email method. So this, once it is completed, I'm going to return true. Okay, the record is inserted, and the record for that record email also sent successfully. So user will get the email with the random password. Random password already we generated here. That random password is available. Using that random password, we will send the email. So what I will say, your account created. That is my subject. And whatever the body, your password to login. The random password is available. We are going to specify random password. So this is the to address. This is the subject and this is the body and this is the to address. If you want to give a beautiful body, so in the Ashok IT, whenever you register, you will get a beautiful email. So if you want to make beautiful body, then we need to create that body in one file, and from that file we need to read the data and we need to set that as a body. So currently I'm giving a simple one-line body, your password to login. If you want to give more content, hi, good morning. So your account is created successfully. Below are your credentials to login. So please click on this link to login, like that. If you want to format that body text we need to take in the file. That file data we will read and we will send that email. I will show you how to send the data, how to read the data from the file to use email body. Okay, so currently I'm just taking email service dot send email, subject of the email, body of the email, and to address that we are going to send. Once email sent successfully, my method will return true, otherwise it will return false value. So this is save user method, guys. This is the save user method. So when user register, that form data we are getting in the form of DTO object. DTO object data we are converting into entity object. DTO object data we are converting into entity object by using beanutils.copy properties. And all the properties will not be copied because in the registration form DTO, IDs are available. In the entity, we are having objects, relationship is available. So to set the data to the foreign keys, what I'm doing, based on the country ID, state ID, city ID, I'm retrieving those objects and I'm setting them to the entity. And the password is not given by user. That's why I'm generating one random password. I'm setting that to the entity, and by default password updated also I'm setting as no. This is used to decide when user login, we need to display dashboard page or we need to display reset password page. For that we are using password updated as no, and we are inserting the record. Once the record is inserted, I want to send the email to the user. For that we are using email service dot send email method. Okay, in the send email method currently logic is not available. We need to write the logic. So what is the logic we need to write to send the email? So I'm writing try catch block here, exception E. If any exception occurs, I want to print it. Now we need to use Java mail sender to send the emails. Private Spring Boot provided Java mail sender in order to send the emails. So let me do the injection auto wiring. So when you are injecting Java mail sender, that means you need to configure SMTP properties in the application. So already we configured our SMTP properties and we are injecting Java mail sender. So using this Java mail sender, I want to send the emails. So for this, we are going to use mail sender dot get mail sender dot create my message. Mail sender dot create my message. So with this, I'm going to get one my message object. With the my message object, we will use my message helper object. My message helper is equal to new my message helper. For that we will pass my message object. So I'm taking email service class as a Spring Bean. In my email service class, I have injected my Java mail sender. Then I am using send email method, subject body to address. To send the email, I'm creating a my message. Using that my message, I'm creating my message helper. For this helper, we need to set helper dot set subject and helper dot set text. Set text nothing but it is body. Okay, and helper dot set to address to whom you want to send that email. Set it to address, and finally we are going to use mail sender dot send off my message. That's it. So with this logic, email will go from our application to the registered user with the password. User will get the password to their email ID to log in into the application. So when they log in for first time, so they will get the reset password page, and when they log in for the second time, dashboard page will come directly. Are you guys able to follow me? This is the method which is used to send emails by using Spring Boot. To send the emails, we configured mail starter and we added SMTP properties also. We configured mail starter and we configured SMTP starter also. Are you able to follow this one?
Yes, sir.
Email sending functionality added. This email functionality we are calling in the service IMPL. Once user registration got completed, then we are calling email service dot send email method. Okay. Once the user registration is completed, then we will return true. Otherwise, we will return false value. So guys, if you just
set password update no means how does it work, sir? Or true yes or no means?
Sir, I told you more than 20 times. Based on that only we will check it. When user login for first time, user first time reset password page will display. When user login second time, dashboard page will come. When
Right,
user login first time, we will check the password updated or not. Old password is available, right? If a password updated is no, that means we are going to display the reset password page. If a password is updated, then that variable will become yes. Then we will go for the dashboard page. So
Right.
this old password updated is used to determine user is trying to log in for first time or user
second.
already updated the password or not.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, are you clear with this save user method, which is used to register the user?
Hi, Ashok.
Yeah, hello.
Hi. Did we check whether the email is unique before saving?
That I will check in the controller itself, sir. Already I have implemented a method for that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I missed it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, duplicate email check method is already available. So if the email is unique, then only the registration will happen. Otherwise, the registration will not happen.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Guys, a save user means it's not like directly taking the form data and inserting in the table. So in the real time, so user registration functionality will be available like this. We are copying the binding object DTO object data to the entity object. We are setting the foreign keys for the entity, and we are generating one random password for the user. We are setting that random password and we are inserting the record. After the record is inserted, we are sending email for the user with the password to login. User don't know his password because he is not selecting the password at the time of registration. Password we are generating and we will send to the user in the email. Password we are generating and we will send it to the user email. Now tell me, how many of you able to implement the method like this? How many of you able to implement the method like this, guys? Whatever that I have implemented now. Save user method, get countries, get states, get cities, duplicate email check. So the method's signature, the method structure I have given yesterday itself. So how many of you implemented this? How many of you got problems, got stuck to do this implementation? Because once again, I'm telling you, so if you just depend on me for completing the coding, you will not learn anything. If you just watching my coding, you will not learn anything. So I have given enough time, almost 4 or 5 days of time I have given to do the coding for the second project also. I'm not writing the code directly. So I have explained the requirement. I have given the document to go through that. And I have 2 days in the class itself. I have given the time to do the coding for this second project. Then I have given my analysis. I have shared the document which contains my analysis. What are the classes? What are the methods we need to take? So how many of you able to complete? How many of you not able to complete these methods implementation? You just check yourself.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Can we use object mapper instead of
Anything
bean
is
utils?
fine, sir. Bean
Okay.
utils also you can use, and model mapper, not object mapper.
Oh, yeah.
Model mapper you can use to copy the data from one object to another object. Bean utils is directly available in the Spring. That model mapper is a third-party class. We need to add the dependency. Apache utils dependency you need to add for that.
Yeah,
Anything is fine. You just need to copy the data from one object to another object.
Yeah, Ashok, one thing, Ashok. So this
Yes.
bean utils is, I think, safer, right? It is part of Spring only. Is that
Which one?
the bean utils?
Yes, it is part of the Spring.
Okay, so this we can use for all bigger projects, right? It will safe method, because basically we use separate TTO class to convert from the model to the entity, something like that. Or
So
we
if you are trying to do the copy multiple times now, then if you have some custom properties to set, then you can create a separate mapper and you can convert DTO to entity, entity to DTO. So it depends on the requirement.
Okay, so in this case, the DTO will completely transfer to the user entity, but whatever value is not available in DTO, it will be, I think, saved as null in the entity, right? Again, we have to set it.
Yes. So IDs, we are getting IDs in the DTO, but entity expecting object for the foreign keys.
Object for
That's
that
why
one.
I'm setting these foreign key objects manually.
Yes, yes, sir. I also handle in this way, but I used Mapper one. This I'm first time hearing. Good to know this. Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Ashwin.
So now guys, tell me, how many of you not able to complete this coding? 1 week of time. I have given my analysis also.
Ashok sir.
Because I'm writing the code will complete. That is not the important thing. Whether you are able to write this code or not. Whether you are able to write this code on your own or not, that is the important thing.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking one scenario. When user is registering for themselves by providing data, and user data is saved in the database, but if any problem occurs, then email is not sent to this to his email ID. Then how can he log in, and also he cannot.
Sir, that is a special scenario. If email is not sent for the user, then what we can do is, before saving the user, you first send the email for the user. After that, you save the record. You got my point?
Okay, so how can possible?
First, this logic we need to keep first, sir. This logic before saving the record, I will write this logic here, and it will give me true or false value. Na? So if it is true, that means email sent successfully, then I will call the save method. If email failed to send, then I will not call the save method.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Ashok sir,
Yes.
does it mandatory to map user with country? Because we can map country to state, state to city, that is okay. But does it require to map a
Yeah, I
relationship?
already told you at the time of analysis itself, if you save only city ID, that is sufficient. Based on the city ID, you can get the state. Based on the state ID, you can get the country also.
Okay.
Okay. All good. So with this, we completed
Sir,
get countries method implementation.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, usually while applying jobs for the companies, they will use only duplicate email check. Why they will use only duplicate email check, sir? Like, for example, if a candidate apply for a job with one email ID, and if we put the same details and with different email ID, they are able to apply the job for the same company. So this same with all the companies, because I'm in job search, I'm applying for the jobs. So if they consider only duplicate email check,
Sir,
so
whenever we are validating the data, so they are going to implement email validation. So with that email already account is created or not. If account is already created, they are not accepting because they can't. So I mean, it depends on the requirement. They can validate with email ID, they can validate with the phone number and all. But every user will have different types of information. Only one unique value we are going to consider to validate the information. That's where they are using the email ID for that. Okay. And in the Naukari, some people may not give the phone number. In the Naukari, some people may not give the company name. Okay, they need to make everything is mandatory to validate all the data. So, but instead of that, they are simply taking email ID as a mandatory field. Based on that, they are validating you have already applied for that or not.
if a person put same details and different, if we use different,
if your mail ID is different, then no problem, you can apply because they are checking with only email ID.
yeah, that's what my question is. Like, if they are checking only with email ID, so filtering there may be possible of the duplicate candidate again. So if they put like name, last name, first name also like mandatory thing, then they'll be able to filter out the candidates, right?
Sir,
So
they can do that, sir. That is depends on their requirement, right? How can we decide that why they are checking only that? That is depends on their requirement. If they want to implement that also, they can do. But why they are not doing, how I will know that?
No, it's just a general question. Why? Because all the companies following the same thing. That's the
Pranav,
reason. A
hello,
general question I'm asking.
no, Pranav. Actually, I have
Sir,
used
that
two mail
depends on
ID.
their business scenarios or their business requirement. We don't know why they are using only email. Okay. Good.
Okay, sir.
So we are able to save the user data. Now, login functionality available, guys. So user want to log in into the application. So to log in into the application, we are having a login page. Email ID and password will come. So with this email ID and password, we need to check user record is available or not. So for this, again, I need to create one method in the user repository, find by email and password. Okay, public user entity, find by email and the password. I'm taking string email and I'm taking string password. So this is a method which is used to retrieve user record based on the email ID and password. Now go to this one, login functionality. Okay, so here we need to call that method to check user record is available with the given email ID or not. So user repo dot find by email and password from the login form DTO. When user login, this data will be stored in the form of DTO object which contains email ID and password. Okay, so with that data, I will validate the record is available or not. Login form DTO dot get email, login form DTO dot get password. So with this, whether record is available or not available. Record may available, record may not available. Record may available and record may not available. So here, if user entity not equal to null, what is the meaning of that, guys? If user entity not equal to null, what is the meaning of that?
User is
And
present.
that is this.
That means credentials are valid, right?
Yes.
Yes. When the credentials are valid, then what I will do, I will create one user DTO object. User DTO is equal to new user DTO. Then I will copy the data from the entity to DTO because I need user password is updated or not. So I need user password is updated or not. So if user password is updated, then I will display some page. If the password is not updated, I will display some other page. So for this, again, I'm going for bean utils dot copy properties from entity to DTO, and I will return user DTO object. So this is the method which is used for login functionality. This is our login method. So what is this login method is doing? When user login, they will enter email ID and password and they will click on sign in button. So when they click sign in, that login form data will get in the form of login form DTO. With this email ID and password, I'm checking the record available in the table or not. So if user entity not equal to null, that means the record is available. Then I will convert entity object data to DTO object and I will return DTO object. Suppose the email ID and password is incorrect, user entity is null, then I will simply return null object. If this method is returning null value, that means the credentials are invalid. If this method is returning user DTO, that means the credentials are valid. If credentials are valid, then I will do one more check, password is updated or not updated. If a password is already updated, then I will display reset password. If the password is not updated, I will display reset password page. If a password is already updated, then I will display dashboard page here. So this is my login check method. This is my registration method and this is my login method. Look at the login method again. Look at the login method. Are you able to understand this login method?
So in user entity, we have various fields, but in user detail, we have
Whichever
some.
fields are matching, only those fields will be copied. Remaining things are skipped. We don't need them.
Okay, sir.
So in the user entity, there are several fields available, but in the user DTO, only 3-4 fields available. When we are copying the data from entity to DTO, whichever the variables are same, which variables are matching with entity to DTO, only those variables data will be copied. Other variables data it is going to skip.
Sir, it checks for name matching, variable
Yeah,
name.
variable name and variable data type, both.
Okay, sir.
Guys,
So
are you
it
clear
can
with?
populate either way, sir. It can populate either entity to DTO, DTO to entity.
Yes, anything, sir. Source and target. So you here, I copied the data from DTO to entity here. My target is
Yes.
DTO. My destination is entity. Source,
Yes.
destination. So in the save method, from DTO I copied to entity. In the login method, from entity I copied to the DTO. Anyways, you can do this. Parameters is going to make the difference. Copy properties, from which object to which object you want to copy the properties.
That's the reason I got.
Are you clear with my point? Are you able to understand the login method, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Next one, reset password. What is the meaning of reset password here? Guys, what is the meaning of reset password?
To update the password.
Now user logged in first time. User logged in first time. When user log in first time, we will check password is updated or not. If a password is not updated, reset password page will come, email ID will come, old password no need to take, new password, confirm password will come. So when we want to reset the password, just we need to update the password and the password updated flag. So for this one, first I need to get the user record from the database. Reset password DTO object I am getting. Reset password DTO get email. I'm getting the email ID from the password DTO. I'm getting the email ID from the password DTO. From this email ID, I want to get the user record from the table. Okay, so for this one, here already duplicate email check method is available. True or false, it will return. So we can write one more method in the repository, user repository, find by email. Yes, we already have a method called find by email method is available. Then here I'm going to call user repository dot find by email. So I want to get the user record. Okay, user entity object I am getting. User entity object I am getting when you log in. So then what I will do for this entity, I will set the password. Okay, reset password DTO dot get new password. That means I'm going to update. And entity dot set password updated as yes. Send password updated as yes. Then I'm going to call user repository dot save of entity. User repository dot save of entity return true. Return true. Okay. So here for the reset password page, we are getting user email ID and we are getting the new password and confirm password. Then with that email ID, I'm retrieving user record from the database. With that email ID, I'm retrieving user record from the database. I want to set the new password and I will update the password updated as yes because user is updating the password. So if this is yes, next time this reset password page will come. So when user login for first time, reset password page will display. So user can update the password in this page. We need to verify user given password and we need to verify new password, confirm passwords are same or not. If user password reset already completed, then this page will not come again. So that is the reason when the password is changing, I'm setting the new password for the entity. I'm retrieving the existing entity record. So when the existing entity I retrieved, the temporary password, random password will be available. Then once I retrieve the user record, I'm setting the new password for the entity. Then I'm setting updated password as yes, password updated yes. So next time reset password page will not come. Then I am saving the record. So here when you do the save record, it is upsert method, guys. Already we discussed. Save method is a upsert method in the data JPA. If the record is not available with the primary key, it is going to insert. If the record is already available with the primary key, it is going to update that record. So here already I retrieved entity by using email ID. In this entity, primary key will be available. Then I am just changing the password value and password updated column value. So this save method is going to update the user record with the new password. So this is reset password method. This is my reset password method. Are you clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? What is this reset password?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So first, when user login first time, we will check password updated as no. If it is no, that means user logged in first time. Then reset password page will come. They will enter the details and they will click on update button. Then the record will come in the form of DTO object. In that DTO, we have the email ID. With that email ID, I'm retrieving the user entity. For that user entity, I'm setting the latest password. Setting new password. Setting new password and setting password updated as yes. And I'm calling repository.save of entity. So with this, we are going to update the user record with the new password. Then password will be updated in the database table. For the user record, we are setting the new password so that user record will be updated in the database table. User record will be updated with the new password, so the database record will be updated. So earlier, when user is registering, I'm setting password updated as no. Then when user updated the password, I'm setting password updated as yes. This column value is helping us to decide when to display reset password page and when to display dashboard page for the user. When to display reset password page, when to display dashboard page for the user, we are understanding or we are deciding by using password updated column value. Are you clear with my point? So with this, we completed the implementation for user service. These are all methods I have implemented. So yesterday I have given these method names for you. I don't know how many of you able to implement these methods on your own. If you implement these methods on your own, that means your coding skills also good. Before coding, so if you analyze that these are the methods required for this project, then your analysis skills are good. After giving the analysis, if you are able to write the logic for all these methods, whatever the logic I have written today in front of you, if you are able to write this logic on your own, then your coding skills also good. Now tell me whether your coding skills are good or bad. Now you can see that whatever the logic I have implemented. Now you can tell me whether you are able to complete this logic or not. If you are able to complete this logic before coming to today's session, that means your coding skills are good. Come on guys, how many people are unable to complete this implementation? So today in front of you in 1 hour of time, I have written almost 170 lines of code for you. So every method I have implemented in the today's session only. So getting the countries for the drop down, getting the states based on the country ID, okay, and getting the cities based on the state ID, checking the user record is already available with the given email ID or not, and user registration. When to do the user registration, a random password we are generating, and after registration completed, we are sending email. Send email method we have used here, which is used to send the email to the user. Then after login method I have implemented, reset password method also I have implemented. So now tell me how many of you not able to complete this implementation on your own, because I have given enough time to do the analysis. And 2 days, last Friday and Saturday, in the classroom also I asked you to do the coding only, and I have given my analysis. I have given my analysis and I have asked you to implement these methods. Today, I implemented these methods also. How many of you able to complete this? How many of you able to complete? How many of you not able to complete? You just question yourself. Your coding skills are good or not good. Just can you type in the chat box? Sir, I am not able to implement this, or I'm able to implement this. Before today's session, how many of you completed this user service IMPL? Come on, quickly respond. Quickly respond, guys. How many of you able to complete this logic before coming to today's class? Come on, if you know, if you give the answer, then only I will understand how is your practice going on. So everybody able to complete? Dilip unable to complete. Okay. Mohini unable to complete. Mahesh unable to complete. Ashwini not able to complete. Shubhra Biswal not able to complete. So guys, can you tell me what is the problem you guys are facing? Bibu not able to complete. What is the problem you are facing? Why you are not able to complete? Vinod Adanki unable to complete because after giving the methods also, you guys are unable to write the logic. So what I need to do? So what support you guys are expecting from me so that you can also do the coding like this? So I thought that everybody will complete this coding before coming to the today's session, but I see half of the people are unable to implement this after looking at the method's signature. So by looking at get countries and map, easily you can understand that we need to retrieve the methods, we need to retrieve the countries, and we need to return the form of a map object. Okay, so this is the code that I have implemented. Some people are able to do it, some people are not able to do it. So now my focus is on the people who are not able to do it. So why you are not able to do it, where you got stuck? So can you speak about that so that I can plan the coming sessions accordingly? Vinod, can you tell me why you are not able to implement? Where is the problem? Where you are getting stuck?
So actually, it's not completed service methods are not unable to continue the sessions classes.
Why you are not able to
So
complete?
actually, the development was service parts not completed to the implementation parts.
That is the reason I'm asking you why you did not complete. Because you have
Sir,
taken 4 or 5 days of time, right?
it's some confusion parts. Actually,
Where is the
service.
confusion?
Yes, sir. The Boolean save user part is implement coding is not getting to the answer.
Now you got the clarity?
Yes, sir. Now you clarity to the develop the code, sir.
Any one person, next person, where you are getting problem? Bibu, why you are not able to complete, sir? Problem kahan hai bhai?
Sir, I got some confusion in the service implementation, in the duplicate email check.
Okay, is it clarified now?
Yes, sir.
Shubhra Biswal?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, hi.
Sir, actually, I am implemented these methods, but where I am stuck in save user, but with the help of ChatGPT, I can got and where how to convert the registered DTO object to user entity. With the help of ChatGPT, some methods I can implement this method, sir. Is it a recommended approach?
Yes, sir. You can do it, sir. Our target is we should be able to complete the logic. You can search in the Google or ChatGPT, whatever it is. You should know what to do and how to do.
Yes, sir.
Because
Sir, another my doubt is, sir, instead of well retrieving the countries list from database, I am using list, sir. But is there any specific reason to use map?
Because in the UI we need to display the key and value. Then only we can get the next drop downs data. That's the reason. So you can take list also, or you can take map also. No problem. Anything is fine.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. The next person, Mahesh, why you are not able to complete? Where is your problem? and is your problem, is your wherever you got stuck. Now you got the
Yes,
solution.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have implemented some methods, but I have stuck in save user method while converting the object to DTO class. In that method, I have facing the problem.
Now do you
Now
got
I
the
have got
solution for
it.
this one?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So guys, what is the advantage you are getting? Because directly I am not doing the coding. First I am giving the chance for you to do the coding. Then I am doing the coding. What is the benefit of this approach? Do you realize what is the benefit of this approach?
Yes, sir. By this method, we are understanding what mistake we are doing and which approach we have to follow to do the best coding. These things we are learn.
So if I directly do this coding now, you will feel everything is easy. So if you try, then you will see the problem. Where is your mistake? Where you are getting stuck? Where your brain is not working? So you need to understand your problem. Then you can see the solution for that problem while I am writing the code for that. Okay. So still anybody having any questions in the user service IMPL, because I have completed my user service. So there are 7 methods available. Today I have implemented all these 7 methods. This is business logic for our application, service IMPL. Now we need to implement dashboard service, guys. In the dashboard service, I have taken only one method, which is used to get the response from the third-party API. Dashboard service is available, get to quote is available. So let me create new class dashboard service IMPL. Dashboard service IMPL. So this dashboard service IMPL class will implement that interface, implements dashboard service. I want to make it as a string bean @service, and here we are going to override that get quote method. Okay, so we need to get the quotation from third-party API. That third-party API URL also I have given here. This is our third-party API URL. Okay, private string quote API URL. So if you hit this URL, if you send a GET request to this URL, then we are getting one quotation. Okay, so now you go here, go to the browser and send a request to this URL. That URL will give you some response in the form of JSON. ID coming, quote is coming, author is coming. So how to send a request from our application to third-party application? Okay, so we developed one Spring Boot application. From our Spring Boot application, we need to access third-party API. This is our Spring Boot project. This is our Spring Boot application. From this Spring Boot application, we need to our Spring Boot application, guys. This is our Spring Boot application. From this Spring Boot application, we need to access quote API. Who developed that quote API, guys? Is that quote API belongs to me or it is third-party API?
This third-party API.
Okay, so it is a third-party API. We don't know which company developed it. We don't know which technology they used to develop it. So now what we need to do is, from our Spring Boot application, we need to send a GET request to the third-party API, and it will give some JSON response. So we are going to send one HTTP GET request for this one, and it is going to send a HTTP response for us. That response also we are going to get in the JSON format. Okay, so we are creating our Spring Boot application. In our Spring Boot application, we want to communicate with the third-party API, which is a quote API that is developed by some company. We don't know who developed that API. We don't know what technology they used to develop that API. Now, I want to access that API from my application. I want to access that API from my application. So for this, I have taken quote API URL, get to quote method is available. Now what I will do here, I'm going to use REST template class. So if you want to send HTTP request from one application to another application, in the Spring Boot, there is a predefined class available which is called REST template. There is a predefined class available which is called REST template. REST template dot get for entity. REST template dot get for entity quote API URL, quote API URL comma quote API response DTO dot class. So whatever the response is coming from that class, whatever the response is coming from the third party API, that response I want to store into my quote API response DTO dot class. Quote API response DTO dot class. Then for entity dot get body. So which is going to give me quote API response DTO, which is giving the quote API response DTO. If you want, you can change that to the object like this. So return type, instead of taking the string, I'm taking the return type as a response DTO because I want to display the quotation and quotation author also. I want to display the quotation and I want to display the quotation author also. So that is the reason we are taking that method return type as a response DTO. So this is the logic which is used to make a web service call. So whenever you go to the dashboard page, in the dashboard page, we need to get the quotation. I will display the quotation and I will display the author of the quotation. So we are getting the quote and we are getting the author who has given that quotation. So that's why my method signature I have changed in the service layer. So the change is earlier I have taken string as a return type. Now I am taking DTO object as a return type. So instead of taking only quotation, I'm taking the response DTO so that I can return author name and quote. So this is my dashboard service IMPL. Okay, so this is dashboard service IMPL, which is implementing our dashboard service. This is my third party URL. This is developed by someone, and in order to send a GET request to this URL, I'm using REST template class. REST template is a predefined client class in the Spring Web MVC, which is used to send the web service call. So by using this REST template, I'm calling one method get for entity. Get for entity meaning send a GET request and get the response. Okay, send a GET request, get the response. For that we are using get for entity method. For get for entity method, we are taking two parameters. One is to which URL you want to send a GET request, and that GET request will give you some JSON response. So where you want to store that JSON response? This is the JSON response I'm getting. That JSON response I want to store into my API response DTO class. So here I'm taking ID, quote, author. This is the structure of the JSON. So to represent this JSON structure, I'm creating one binding class, quote API response DTO. So I'm going to use REST template to send a request to the third party API. REST template dot get for entity, quote API URL I am passing as a first parameter, response DTO I am passing as a second parameter. What is the meaning of this? Send GET request, send HTTP GET request, and store the response into response DTO object. Store the response into quote API response DTO object. Okay, get that response object and return that response object. So this is the logic to get the random quotation from third party API. So very simple. We are using REST template class, which is used to send a GET request and get the response and return that response in the form of object. Are you guys able to understand this logic?
So REST template is to connect to that REST API, sir.
Yes,
Right,
sir.
sir. External. Okay, sir.
REST template is a predefined class which is used to send the request to the web services.
Right, sir. Okay, sir.
You got it?
Sir, what is body, sir?
Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Body means the data which is stored into the object, that is called body. Quote API response DTO, we are getting the response entity format. Header will be available, body will be available. So I'm getting the body. That means the actual data we will get from the response. That is a DTO object. That means whatever the JSON we are getting from the third-party API, that JSON data will be stored into our object. In the request body and response body will be there. So response body data will be available that I'm getting, and I'm returning in the form of one object. Now in this object, this information will be available. That information we can display in the dashboard page like this. Okay, with this, our service layer implementation got completed. Now, in the tomorrow session, we are going to start working on controller part as well as UI part parallelly. So developing the registration page, developing the login page, developing reset password page, developing the dashboard page, controllers, view pages, parallelly we are going to develop in the tomorrow session. Is it clear? So yes, again, I'm requesting, please try to complete this coding before coming to the class. At least give it a try. So if you are able to complete it, then definitely you will get good job because you will have good skill set. If you are unable to complete, then you will understand where is the problem, what is the mistake you are doing. When I am doing that coding, you can see how I am completing that task. What is the solution for your problem, you can understand. Okay, good guys. Thank you. With this, I'm stopping for today. We'll meet again in the tomorrow session. Tomorrow, we are going to work on the controllers and the UI part. Services are completed, guys. User service implementation is completed. Dashboard service implementation also completed. So controllers and view pages are pending. Tomorrow we will start with that.
Sir, can you show me the SMTP dependency version?
Mail starter, sir. For that node, version is not required. Just mail starter.
Mail starter.
At the time of creating the project, you need to select mail starter. That's it. You need to select mail starter.
Okay, okay.
For that, version is not required. Only for the jQuery, we added the version. That's it. For the remaining here, this is the mail starter, no version. Because it is a boot starter, parent version only it is applicable.
Sir.
Sir, sometimes we have these firewalls, those type of issues, right, sir, to connect to these external URLs.
In the company, that is available, sir. But here, this is a personal laptop, so we don't get that problem. Okay, in the company, at the network level, they need to allow the traffic. Otherwise, you can't connect with a third party. That concept is called IP whitelisting in the real time. Directly, you can't access third party URLs. First, which URL you want to access, that should be whitelisted in the company firewall network.
Right, sir. Do the developers do that job, sir?
No,
or,
no, networking.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Good guys, thank you. I'm stopping
sir,
now.
Because so sir, this time leaf also sometimes they may block, right, sir, in the enterprise?
No, sir, time leaf will not block. Only third party URLs it will block. Okay, so
time leaf they will allow, right, sir? Because
yes, time leaf is just a UI only, right? There is nothing to block.
Right. External. That is like external only, sir. That is a
no, sir. It is just HTML template engine, so there is nothing to block in the time leaf.
Got it, sir. Okay, sir. Makes sense.
Thank you, guys. With this, I'm stopping now. We'll see you in the tomorrow session. Please try to work on the pending parts in the project. Thank you.